He has been indicted now 3 times, probably a 4th at the end of next week. Polls show that he's tied with your candidate, with the president. That's got to be a warning sign.
Well, again, we're going to stay focused on really ensuring that we're communicating what this president has delivered for the American people. We know it's a winning message. We saw it in 2020, we saw it in 2022, and we know we'll see it again this election cycle.
President Biden's campaign manager touting his record during his first 3 years in office, but many of the promises made by then-candidate Biden have not been kept. The president is placing the blame on the U.S. Supreme Court. Lucas Tomlinson is live on the North Lawn of the White House with a closer look. Morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Brett. A little dew sweeping for you this morning. And you're right, the Supreme Court has not been kind to the Biden agenda, handing down rulings on affirmative action in student loans. The president also says the high court has blocked his climate agenda.
Yes, because the courts overruled me. The court said I couldn't do it. I wanted to stop all drilling on the East Coast and the West Coast and in the Gulf, but I lost in court. But we're still pushing. We're still pushing really very hard.
The president speaking to the Weather Channel there at the Grand Canyon, likely referring to a Louisiana federal judge last year blocking the Biden administration's ability to pause oil and gas leasing in 13 states. And who could forget our colleague Jackie Heinrich after the student loan plan was struck down by the high court, asking Biden if he gave millions of students across the country false hopes. Biden denied the accusation and blamed Republicans. Now, speaking of the GOP, Brett, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn said the White House is just angry the court has moved to a conservative majority.
They do not want to understand what the Supreme Court has said. They go about trying to delegitimize the Supreme Court every way they can. So to go against them and their ruling and to remind the Biden administration that they do not have the authority to do this, they just feel like that's an obstacle.
Now, the Supreme Court is out for the summer and doesn't start its next term until October, well into football season. Brett?
Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. Lucas, thanks.
We want to get a candidate that has a vision and can execute on day one. And bottom line, we want the candidate that we believe can win in 2024 and put a Republican in the White House. And that's the mindset of Iowans.
Says Iowans mean business when it comes to screening the candidates at the Iowa State Fair. Let's bring in James Freeman, Fox News contributor. Great to have you. One quote from the New York Times article, the reporter says what's different about Iowa this time is that before Republicans consider a broad field of candidates, they are asking themselves a more basic binary question, Trump or not Trump. Let me show you a little bit of the polling that we have now versus July. You have DeSantis chipping away a little bit at the lead. Donald Trump at 46 to 16% in July, now 44 to 20. What do you make of that, James Freeman, as the Iowa State Fair gets underway?
Yeah, I think that is the way to frame it. I think this is a two-man race. Certainly Donald Trump views it that way. When he shows up at the Iowa State Fair, he's not going to be there with, he's not bringing along endorsers from Iowa, but from Florida. Congressman from Florida. So he certainly views DeSantis as his competition, and I think he should, not just on polling, but on the really impressive record of the Florida governor.
Yeah, you've got 9 congressmen, actually, who've not endorsed the Florida governor, but have endorsed the former president, traveling with former President Trump to Iowa. You know, Iowa is different. You know, the caucus system is different. They expect you to really court their vote, much like New Hampshireites do. Can some candidate have a breakthrough moment, considering how big this lead is for the former president at this point?
It could happen. There is plenty of time. Obviously, the Fox debate coming up, that's a chance for people to shine. You mentioned that sort of retail nature of Iowa. DeSantis is trying to go to all 99 counties. Donald Trump is not going to do that, and it's going to be interesting to see when Donald Trump shows up. We remember in 2015, he flies in the helicopter. There's a lot of excitement. He doesn't talk like any other politician. Are we going to see that same excitement as you framed it? Is it Trump or not? And we've been talking about whether these indictments will hurt him. I think they're helping him now among Republican voters because they are seen as not legitimate. This idea that you're going to prosecute a politician for making a false claim as a criminal fraud.
And that is so interesting, right, that we've got these dual stories going on. You've got the campaign and you've got the legal issues. As one of our, I think David Spunt was pointing out, that you could actually have the president end up not being able to talk about the case while he's in the middle of the presidential race and he's in the lead. One of your colleagues on the editorial page in her column today, Kim Strassel, writes about Ron DeSantis. Her headline is "Free Ron DeSantis," and she goes on to say, "Where's that Ron DeSantis today? Smothered under a pile of polling data, focus groups, and chattering advisors, which have spoiled his prior winning recipe. The problem is the governor's adoption of Trump-style grievance politics, which has him chasing a slice of GOP primary voters that won't have him anyway. For this, he's ceding the rest of the electorate. Mr. DeSantis has a perfect opportunity for a reversal at the August 23rd GOP debate. Let the guy who shows up be the Florida governor of old." Do you think that's what Ron DeSantis' problem has been? That he's been hemmed in by consultants?
Well, I think it is a challenge. I think absolutely voters want to know, and he's got the Florida record to show that he'll stand up against wokeness, that he'll stand up for families, against radical social agendas. But he does need to draw a contrast with Trump. And it's challenging. If a voter is saying, "I want the most politically incorrect brawler," they're probably going to choose Trump. But I think there is a lot of room for DeSantis to run based on that record. And by the way, the finances, the taxation, the spending in the state of Florida compare very favorably with what has been happening in Washington, including on Donald Trump's watch. A lot of wins for conservatives during the Trump years, but a really terrible record on spending. Not as reckless as President Biden, but I think the economic issues are there kind of waiting for a DeSantis attack.
You know, James, obviously the former president has 100% name recognition. So his opponents, some of them say that that is part of this big lead. Others say, listen, it's just a big lead. But as far as the local effort, you know, the governor, Kim Reynolds, the former president hasn't really warmed up to her. How big a machine is the Reynolds machine in Iowa? How big are those coattails?
Well, we'll find out. I don't know if it's a machine so much as she is popular, and I think for good reason. She, like Ron DeSantis, has put a lot of wins on the board in terms of school choice, in terms of tax reform. She's really kind of a gold standard governor right now. I think some people probably hope she might get in the race. So I think if anyone could pull people away from Trump in Iowa, it might be Kim Reynolds, but she's staying neutral. So Trump suspects that she's a DeSantis backer, but she has not endorsed anyone. She is supporting an open primary, but I think if she were to endorse, I suspect that would have an impact.
A lot of chatter about her as a possible vice presidential choice as well. James Freeman, thanks for your expertise this morning. Love having you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, James.
Appreciate it. Great
And
to be here.
we're getting closer to the Fox-hosted first Republican primary debate that's happening August 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern. Our very own Martha McCallum and Brett Baer will be there, and Bill Hemmer and I will do a little preview show. We're like the warm-up act for you, Brett.
It's going to be good. We're working on it.
Definitely going to be good. Okay, check.